afternoon, everyone. My name is John Greenberg. I am the president of the Milwaukee Admirals, and I'll be your tour guide this afternoon. I'd like to introduce the principals on the screen. General Manager of the Nashville Predators, Barry Trotz. Assistant General Manager of the Predators and GM of the Milwaukee Admirals, Scott Nickel. And the CEO and Governor of the Milwaukee Admirals, Harris Turr. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Barry for the announcement and his initial comments.
Well, I am very excited to announce that we are extending our agreement, our affiliation with the Milwaukee Admirals for 4 more years. We are excited about that. We've had a great relation, a long-standing relation with the Admirals. They've been, as an organization, a first-class organization. The culture and tradition that we have there is exceptional, and our players are taken care of first class, which is what you want as a NHL team for your players. You look at the endless lists of Milwaukee Admiral alumni playing for the Nashville Predators over the years. It is one of the best relationships in pro hockey, and our future looks very bright with a number of young players coming into the fold the next few years. And we've taken it deep the last 2 years, and we want to take it to the next step and hopefully bring a championship back to Milwaukee. And I'm excited to have this partnership with Milwaukee. It is one of the best in pro hockey, and we are very, very excited for our young players to come through there.
Thank you. Harris, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, I want to reiterate what Barry said. We're super excited to get this deal completed. Ever since I've owned the team for the past 20 years, this is what we know, and it's a great relationship. And over the last few years, Scott Nickel's just done an incredible job of putting together a highly competitive team that, as Barry said, we've gotten to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 seasons. There are many, many teams wish they were in our position, and we're very fortunate to have such a great relationship with Scott and now with Barry, who, the two of them were so key in getting this deal completed. And we're very fortunate to have this relationship and look forward to the next 4 years and see what comes of all the great young talent that Nashville has drafted.
Right. Scott?
Well, thanks, Harris. No, it is super exciting for both organizations. I think just putting a competitive team on the ice and, balancing the development and the winning culture and teaching these kids how to be pros on and off the ice and volunteer their time for charities and autographs. And that's what builds good pros. So I'm super excited. And on the development side, even the fan experience side that you guys do here, it's turned into a destination. As you can see in the last few years, we get some older players to surround our young guys with, and they want to come to Milwaukee. They want to be a part of our organization, and that's what helps grow our young guys. It also gives these guys an opportunity to play in the NHL. If you look, it's the Bellows and Hinnistros and these types of players where they come here for a second opportunity, and Trotzy and the Nashville Predators give them a chance to go up and play in the NHL and make an impact. So it's a good marriage, and happy for to be 4 more years.
Very good. At this point, we will open up for questions. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand option, and I will call on folks and unmute you. And if you could introduce yourself then so that we know who everybody is, that would be great. So at this point, we will open up for questions, looking for hands. This might be the easiest press conference I've ever hosted. All right, Patrick Williams, I will unmute you. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks for doing this. I guess whoever wants to take this question is, what do you think has been really the secret for this affiliation, going all the way back to 1998, different league to the IHL, all these years later, that has really made this work, through, the normal ups and downs of any development program.
Well, Patrick, I can talk from the Admirals side.
Mhm.
Nashville has always done an amazing job of bringing in high quality individuals. And that, in my book, has probably been one of the great assets that they've made sure of. They bring in the kind of players that are great, not only on the ice, but off the ice. And it allows us to do the things in our community that I know that John talked about, that Scooter talked about, where we want to reach out to the community, do the charitable work. Well, when you have high quality individuals, they're willing to participate and be a part of that. And that's a big part of what we do here. And so that's been a huge part. Always we have won. I mean, I can't even remember last time we didn't make the playoffs. And we've just always had competitive teams, and we're just grateful to management in Nashville, making sure that we have a quality product for our fans. And so I think those two things combined have led to the long-term success of this relationship.
Thank you.
Great. We could call on Alex Doherty.
Hey there. You guys talked about the number of players that have come through Milwaukee. The list is pretty extensive and very impressive. I'm just curious on the coaching side. There've also been a lot of coaches that have come through and are now in the NHL in some respects. I mean, I think you've got a great coach in Carl Taylor down there now. I mean, how important is it that about not just the player development, but also the coaching development side of it?
Well, I'll speak on this. I think it's extremely important, and I'll pass it on to Scott. I think it's extremely important. Carl's done a really good job since I've known Carl being down there. We try to have stability. I think Milwaukee's a little bit of a cradle for coaches. You look at the number of coaches in the National Hockey League; they either have come to Nashville and coached, or been a part of the coaching staff, or they've moved on to other organizations and have had good success. So I think it's a fabulous place for coaches to develop, just as players do. And I think Carl Taylor has been the steady hand, and with Scott, that works in unison. The staff has developed really good players, and we have a good communication with Scott and the coaches, and I think that's been key over the years. Even as my time as a coach in Nashville years ago, there was always that great communication and the commitment from the Preds and also on the Milwaukee side of taking care of our players, giving them everything they need to be successful. Scott?
Yeah, we put a lot of resources into it just from our coaches here, and then our development team that comes in and helps out our nutritionists. And so it's not just development league for the players. It's for the coaches. It's for the equipment guys, the medical guys that we've moved on, the strength and conditioning coaches we've moved on. So like I said before in my opening marks, like, I'm proud of this. This is a destination not just for the players, but also for young player or young guys coming into their roles of medical or trainers or equipment guys that they want to move on to the NHL. So it's great. It's lots of communication, and I think we do a fantastic job, and the coach's door is always open, and I think the players and the staff really appreciate that.
Hey, Brooks Bratton.
Hey everyone, thanks for doing this afternoon. I guess anybody could take this, but how important is it to have a stable relationship between the NHL club and the AHL club? I feel like we've seen over time that's not always the case everywhere. I guess just turnkey, how much easier does that make things when the relationship is the way that it is between these two clubs?
Harris, You want to take that, or do you want me
Sure.
to
No, no,
take it after that? I can tell you how I feel about it.
yeah, no, I like what I know, and I know the people. I know Barry, I know Scott, I know Brian Poyle, and we've always had such good relationship that I think it allows us to talk about things that go on over the course of a season, over the course of multiple seasons. But sometimes people want to change. Maybe they don't love everything that's going on in their relationship with let's say their NHL parent. But um, we've just been so fortunate to work with the great people in Nashville, and the quality of the relationship, I think, has gone a long way. We trust them, and we've seen the success on the ice, and especially over the last few years, it's been unbelievable. And so we're just grateful to have that kind of thing. It's sometimes you think the pasture's greener on the other side, and I don't look at it that way. I really value our relationship with Scott, with Barry, and everyone there, and we're fortunate to be together.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that we do value our relationship, and through good times and even bad times, we have that communication, and we can fix each other's problems in some ways, and I think that's invaluable. I don't think you can have success unless everybody is in sync. So we try to work closely with Harris, and Scott has done. Scott has been modest. He's done an absolutely fantastic job. He's a steady presence there. The communication between Scott, Harris, myself, I think he's done a wonderful job of keeping that all together, and everybody's in sync and in step. So, but more than anything, it's the people you work with, and Harris and the people in Milwaukee are nothing but the best.
Jason Karnowski.
I just wanted to ask both Barry and Scott a little bit about the thoughts of the accomplishments and development down in Milwaukee this season. Milwaukee just clinched the playoff spot yesterday, and is still fighting for first place in the Central Division, and all the perks that kind of come with that. But with all that's kind of happened in both teams this season, just the accomplishments of what's going on in Milwaukee specifically over the course of this year, and the competitive team and the development that's happening there.
Yeah, it's been a challenging year, that's for sure. I think up top and in Milwaukee, but I think we've had 40 players play on our roster so far. I'm sure that'll add as we get some of our younger junior kids come in, and college kids, and some of our European kids. But I tip my hat to the coaching staff. I don't think they've had the same lineup night in, night out, or same power play night in, night out, and I think that's extension to our captains, our leaders of our team, with Kevin Grabels and Cal O'Reilly. I think they've done to kind of right the ship, and we've had a lot of moving parts because of it. So, and that's part of it. Bring in good veterans that can do that. Everyone goes through it in the American Hockey League. The rosters change, and our coaches develop, and you see when the young guys go up into Nashville, they step in and they have an impact in the game, and they want to put a stamp on their game. So I've been super proud of the young guys going up there, and being part of that fabric of the Predators, and not taking a step back. So it goes hand in hand between our pro scouts, to our coaches here, to our development staff, to the coaches in Nashville. It takes an army to do it, and tip your hat to the players, because they're putting the time into doing it.
It has been a trying year, especially here in Nashville, in terms of what we've gone through and what we've had to do. And you look at the Milwaukee players that have come up, the Milwaukee players that have stayed, the Milwaukee players that have impact. And when our season ends, which it will in a few weeks here, we'll get some of those top players back to Milwaukee to make them even stronger. But they've done a really good job. And when Milwaukee's developing young players, I mean, we've made some decisions on some veteran guys, a little bit older players, because of the Milwaukee development. I look at a guy like Willsby and people like that. Sorry about that. Guys like Willsby and players like that who we have to make some decisions, be on a Fabro, on the back end, who's, played a lot of games. We felt that in the long run, a guy like Willsby and Stastny have caught up to him, and hopefully with some time on our roster and getting some NHL games and more experience, that they may get to the next level. So without that development, those decisions are never made. Milwaukee's doing such a good job that those developments, their progress has made us and forced us to make some decisions on players a lot sooner than later. And what you always want is those young players pushing the group. You want pressure from the bottom end of your roster, if you will. And Milwaukee has supplied that, and that's a great thing. And you look in the next couple of years, a number of young players coming out that have been first rounders. I think we started the year with 4 or 5 first rounders playing in Milwaukee to start the year. That's a pretty good thing, and that same thing will happen again with guys like Tanner Molendyk maybe, and guys like Edstrom and people like that who are high picks that are coming into develop. And I can't tell you the time frame that they could be there, but it's exciting for them to go turn pro and get to Milwaukee and have the success that we've had naturally with our players.
Okay, Corey Curtis.
Hey, Barry, I just wanted to ask you real quick, kind of touching on what you were just talking about. You have so many top 3-round picks over the next 3 years. How critical did it make getting this ironed out with Milwaukee and having, your stamp on these guys ready to go, because there's going to be so many of them rolling through?
Well, it's really critical. You want your players to have the best situation to develop, and I think Milwaukee provides that. Harris and his whole team there provide that, and Scott and steering the ship from our side. It's critical. I mean, our league is about developing. We have to develop a young core. Our young core of Roman Yossi, the Saroses, Forsberg, they're aging. They're getting into their 30s, so we need to develop the next young core. And the next young core I'm excited about. We'll have to be patient, but the top teams in this league always develop through the draft. It's hard through the building through the free agency, but we are a destination, so that'll be a great supplement for us. But I really believe that every team's base or foundation is through the draft, and we've got a lot of draft choices coming, which is exciting in the next couple of years.
Hey, Jason Karnowski.
Just to follow up on the question that I asked earlier, and also that's something you mentioned earlier there, Barry. A month from now, Milwaukee will be in the Calder Cup playoffs. Who are some of the players that we might be thinking about seeing in Milwaukee coming back to join the roster that's already fighting for first spot in the division?
Well, some of the players that you'll see, obviously, a guy like Svechkov, Stastny. We have some rules where we have a 4 recall rule, so you'll see people like that coming down. Maybe a Delgazzo, maybe a Bellows. Those type of players are potentially guys that will get down there. Zach Leroux, unfortunately, we won't be able to get him down. It's just the rules. He was injured at the time, so there wasn't the ability to get him down. But we'll get some of those players down there, which will supplement them handily. Obviously, they're good players for us up here, and they should be pretty impactful down there.
All right, Patrick Williams.
Yeah, I guess this one would be for Scott. I think this year, obviously the year didn't maybe go according to plan, but throughout the year, there's been moves made that have helped Milwaukee to kind of stay afloat. You brought in Denisenko and DeLeo and so on and so forth. Those guys, a lot of teams wouldn't do that. They would have just maybe kind of, run the course, maybe signed a couple guys, brought a couple guys up from the ECHL. Why is it so important for Nashville to make sure year in and year out that Milwaukee is a competitive team, has a chance to win each year, and not just sort of just a place to develop?
Well, I have a good boss. He lets me spend a little bit of money. So no, you have to, I think it goes hand in hand, developing and winning. It goes hand in hand. So it's really hard to develop, and you want to surround your younger players with some good some good players so they can, whatever their skill set is, you want to complement their skill set with maybe a little bit of an older player. So I'm in a nice position where I'm in the meetings and I kind of can see what's kind of coming down the road a little bit, so I can get ahead of it, which will help us, and it has helped us. It just we usually do go to our East Coast League team, but we've been just decimated with injuries, with shoulder surgeries and Achilles tendons, and usually we give those guys a chance. We just didn't have any depth this year with injuries, and then with some of our trades that we traded some players for draft picks, so that everything is a trickle down. But keeps me on my toes. I think we got signed a couple guys who had a hip surgery, shoulder surgery, which they couldn't participate in camp because they got injured at the end of the year. So you just be organized and lean on your pro guys and just keep a list of where these guys are. And when they were healthy, that we brought them in on PTOs, and then we ended up signing them to American League deals. So just trying to get ahead of it, and winning breeds winning. So I think Trotsy always says you want serial winners. And the last 2 years that we've gone real far in the Western Conference finals, it's elevated the Svechkovs and those types of players, because they basically get almost a whole year and a half of development rather than just 1 year. So we're all competitive. Everybody in this room's competitive, and we want to win. So that's the mandate.
One of the things I truly believe in is that the coaches do an exceptional job of getting players ready to have success at the next level, and Carl and his group have done that. The intangible part for players, especially young players, is to go through the grind of a long playoff series. That's where you find you sort of grow in those series. And Scott can talk about the last couple of years. You see guys grow tremendously through a long run in the playoffs, because the best teacher is the grind and the playoffs, the pressures, the day in and day out of playing a little bit injured, or hurt, if you will, not injured, and battling through it, and what it sort of takes. And it needs a complete focus and a complete commitment to have any success to go deep. That's part of the process that you can't really give anybody until they go through that. So when I say you're looking for serial winners, people understand what it takes and the focus it takes and the commitment it takes to go deep. And hopefully that translates to the next level. If you get a team that wins in Milwaukee, when they come up, they want to win. That's all they know is we want to win. We want to have success. We want to go deep. We want to win a championship. That's the culture that we're trying to create. And you can start, we try to start in Milwaukee.
Alex Doherty.
Yes, this is probably a question for the Admirals management side. I seem to remember a number of years ago there was an agreement to extend the Admirals to playing in UW Panther Arena. I want to say it was 10 years. I can't remember that, but and then maybe an extension beyond that. Is that still the plan, just to make that the kind of just the ongoing home? And like, are there any upgrades that are going to be done there? I enjoyed coming to cover games. I would like to come to more. But I'm just curious about that setup with the arena there.
Well, Alex, you're always welcome to come to Panther Arena, watch the Admirals play. We have 2 more years left on our deal, and we are hoping that sometime this spring, early summer, to continue discussions with the management. They're called the Wisconsin Center District Board, and we would like to ultimately get a longer term deal, and that if we can put that in place, some upgrades can then be put in place. We don't want to make investments until we have the security of the long-term viability of the Admirals here at Panther Arena. We think we can get that done, and we're going to be working on that. And we love this building. It's old, but it's got great bones. It's a great spot for our team to play. you come, there's great atmosphere. If we have 5,000 people, 6,000, 7,000, it's got a lot of energy. And the move that we made back in 2016 was the right one for us, and I think has led to greater success for us uh, off the ice.
I got you. Thank you very much for that. The only thing I would request is if we can get a Major Goolsby's down here now. If we can get,
It's still here, so you can go before or after a game.
I got you. I will be there. Thank you.
Right. Jason Karnowski.
This will be a question again for John, also, and for Harris. Milwaukee and Nashville, we're looking at 25 years of relationship, 4 more years now to continue forward. It's certainly one of the best partnerships, or one of the most successful long-term partnerships that we've had, or we have in the AHL, as far as success and between the two teams. And like Hershey, in Washington. What does that say about the just overall the relationship that you guys are willing to go 4 more years with Nashville, and just the mutually beneficial relationship between the two teams?
John, do you want to take it?
Sure. I think it's been stated before, the success of this relationship over the past more than 2 decades, almost three, um, has been a uh, vision toward winning. I mean, there's a sign that hangs in the locker room that says "We win here," and that is the motto not only in the locker room, but it's in our organization as a whole. So, the partnership that we have together is, really something that I think a lot of teams envy in our league. If within the press release, you can see that the top two teams in the league, just from a record perspective, are Milwaukee and Hershey. So it's no coincidence that those are two very long-standing relationships, and ones that we want to continue. And I know that our fans truly enjoy having this relationship with Nashville. The amount of people I know that make the trip down to see Predators games every year, it is a real destination. And I think last year we had a group of Predators fans who came to Milwaukee for games, and I think they truly enjoyed that. And when people see, I know when people go to Predators games and they see people with Admirals jerseys on or Admirals gear on, that it's a very warm reception for people from Milwaukee. So this is a very strong, healthy relationship that has been successful, and we anticipate the next 4 years continuing that success. Lance Allen.
Don't be so excited, John. This might be a crazy question. No, it's not that bad. Jason actually hit on a lot of what I wanted to ask, is just how it works. Because sometimes it's like a family where you get along great, and sometimes you're ready to, disown them or whatever you want to say. But I guess to dovetail off of that, you mentioned it, John, like one of the top two winningest franchises in the AHL. And sometimes it can be more of a take relationship than give. Why, in your opinion, does it work that not only does Nashville thrive and you guys thrive, but you win here at the Milwaukee level?
Well, I think that's all about the people that are on this call, and David Poyle and Brian Poyle over time. I think it's always been about winning, and it's that really helps us to sell what we're doing, because they believe in winning at this level, and you've heard it here on this call that winning grows winning as you move to the next level. And I would challenge anybody to find an organization that doesn't want that. So the fact that we get it here, and we work really hard to develop these players off the ice. Charlie Larson and Kim Bates and everybody on our team who work hard with these players on a daily basis for the stuff that's off the ice. We try to get these guys ready to be, NHL players. And Harris has done such a great job of creating an environment here where, if there are things that are needed in the locker room, or, things that we need to do, we do them. And I think it's just a special relationship that has been built here. And I think it's one where, Scott mentioned earlier, getting free agents to come here. You hear that from our players that come here for the first time, that they came here because they talked to other guys and they find out that this is a great place to play. So while I don't have San Diego's weather, I think this is a really nice place to spend your time during while you're developing to become an NHL player.
And Lance, I also want to add that, some teams talk, everyone will say, oh, we want to win. But Scott and Barry and everyone in Nashville, they don't just talk the talk. They walk the walk. They do everything they can to put a winner on the ice. If you looked at our roster on day one and you look at our roster today, it's vastly different from injuries to call-ups. And Scott has done everything he can to try to put some additional pieces on the ice. It was talked about earlier. Oh, why don't you just go to the ECHL, get a couple guys? Scott could have easily done that, and he didn't. He wanted to make sure that we still had a winning product, and that's why we're in the position we're in today. So we're grateful for that.
All right. I don't see any other hands raised, and so it seems like a good time to wrap up. I don't know if anybody would like to make a final comment from the group here, Barry or Scott. Anything final comments?
I'm just my final comments. I'm so happy to be in a relationship with the Admirals. The one thing that we all talk about relationships, the relationship we have, these guys are like family, and they take care of their players like family, and it's the same thing that we want to do in Nashville. So we want to mirror each other, and I think they do a fantastic job, and I'm excited to for the next 4 years for us and Milwaukee, that hopefully we can bring a championship back into Milwaukee.
Right. One last public service announcement. The Admirals are home on Tuesday night to take on Manitoba, 7 o'clock. Half price kids tickets as it's spring break for a lot of kids. And we're expecting a nice crowd for a Tuesday night. So hopefully people will come out and join us. And thank you all for being on the call. And we're so excited for the next 4 years. The road to Nashville will continue to go through Milwaukee. So thank you all. And go Admirals and go Preds.